Hello boys and welcome to Talking to Yourself in a Room because you're an adult now and your friends work away from home. I'm half joking, but damn, it used to be so easy to hop on COD after school and insult someone's sweet mother back in the day. Now we have to check our calendars to see if we're even free that afternoon. Anyway, my name is Penny and today we'll be talking about validation. Validation's a weird one because I feel it's everywhere but rarely discussed as we spend our time scrolling through Twitter or X, Instagram, or Facebook, if you still use that, if you're over 65. You see attempts for validation every other minute as ratios and my sincerest reactions flood comment sections, but rarely do we stop and go, why is this so widespread? Before the horrors of cookies and SEO, life in the 1950s was relatively simple. You had a father who didn't like talking about the Pacific Theatre, worked for your sixpence, drink and drive home if you feel like it, and beat your wife if the meatloaf isn't ready. Obviously I'm joking, but things were simpler, and the advent of things such as the internet has made a platform for man-made horrors and soulless corporate advertising, which we can't fully understand yet. In danger of sounding like a 14-year-old Redditor, I will move on. In school, I was always chubby. I was never massive, but I always carried some weight on me. Husky, my mum would kindly refer to me as before she sent me off to school in the morning. But when you combine that with the fact that most teenagers are basically sociopaths because empathy, sympathy, and executive function haven't kicked in yet, it can leave you stuck, which I'm sure some of you can relate to. It's hardly an uncommon struggle. But when through apps like Instagram you can find someone with any kind of self-image, body type, determination, mindset, financial situation, I could keep going, you can easily develop a negative self-portrait as you find all these people that have everything that you believe you lack, which that gets internalized and in a sense will turn into a craving for validation. This is the cycle of social media, and it's almost funny because that craving for validation turns into posting ratio on Twitter comments, which then turns the tweeter or Xer, what a fucking horrible brand decision, seeking more validation of others as they get their feelings hurt by the original comment. That was very wordy, but it's quite a toxic cycle, and while I do think it's getting better, it still is everywhere. And what I mean by getting better is the generation above me, millennials, which my brother and my sister are, were so fascinated by the internet and entertainment and drama. I'm 20, and when I speak to those around me, there seems to be more of a common sentiment to distrust social media, which is good as it means we can hopefully avoid the endgame of that one Black Mirror episode where people are gaming on treadmills and there's like a porn room. I think we've seen enough gore videos and Boeing engineers to know that the internet is not the place we thought it was before Club Penguin died for our sins. The trap of social media is that there's always going to be someone doing better than you, and they will always be out there to let you know about it. And while yes, having some idea of what possibilities out there is great, I mean, that's single-handedly damaging celebdom because now they're not gods anymore. Having a constant remind you that you are here on the metaphysical ranking, such as a social hierarchy and value system, is extremely stressful and detrimental to everyday life because it's easy to take that as a reflection of your actual life and self-worth. Now, this might be a long-winded example, but bear with me here. A perfect example of this is David Goggins. If you don't know who David Goggins is, he's a former Navy SEAL, ultramarathon runner, forest firefighter, inspirational speaker, and many more things that's generally the human embodiment of #mindset. David had a horrible life. I don't want to mention anything, but I highly recommend picking up both of his books. The first one especially goes into his childhood. And that defined him for most of his life, up until I believe his mid-20s when he snapped and became the madman you can find on Instagram today. He's known as the world's toughest man. He ran basically 200 miles on broken knees and held the world pull-up record for a while, I think. So there I was laid in bed one morning, a bowl of Weetabix by my side, scrolling through Instagram, and I see a video of David talking about his broken pull-up record and how he wasn't satisfied at how easily it was conquered. Which, by the way, oftentimes people achieve things and then others are able to do it when before no one else could, simply because the mental barrier is broken, which I think is named after the 4-minute mile, that phenomenon. It's cool, Google it if you want to find out more. You're a smart kid, you'll figure it out. Anyway, David goes on about his pull-up record, which was broken within a year, and how hard it was for him to do, including his body going into rhabdomyolysis, which, if you don't know what that is basically your muscle cells being shredded so much from overwork they break down and enter your bloodstream, which is bad and can kill you. David talks about this pain and how he thought it was never going to be broken, and recently he's been going for that record again. but this time in silence. So he sets up, records, gets back in the dungeon, you know, the mental lab, the dark places, if you will, and does over 7,000 pull-ups. Starts just passing his time resting, slowly working his way to that world record. And while they're recording for Guinness, another guy turns in his attempt, smashing it by over 1,000 more before David can even turn his record in. And in David fashion, he sets up his camera and goes, "See, that's the thing, someone's always chasing you, son, can't get too comfortable." I hope you like my impression if you know who he is. And while yes, that's a great message, and yes, hard work builds confidence, it's not the only way. For example, say you want to run a marathon. That's not a bad goal, it's a great one actually. Achieving something that you can be proud of is a beautiful thing. But also, let's say you've always been down on yourself, you've never really been comfortable in your own skin, and you were ashamed of your body, you know? You were that one kid that when they went to the beach or when they went to the pool, you didn't take your shirt off. I know who you are, because I am also that person. We're here together, buddy. So with that in mind, why are you running the marathon? Is it because you want to challenge yourself and you want to reach heights that you never thought you could? Or is it because you want to prove to yourself that you're valuable, and by defeating this thing that you see as a weakness, you'll be worth something? That isn't a healthy mindset, and it won't lead you to happiness. Yes, for moments, I'm sure it will. Running a marathon is a great achievement, and you will get a level of reward for that. This isn't healthy, and it won't lead to happiness. Yes, for moments, I'm sure it will. Running a marathon is a great achievement, but what you've essentially done is reinforce the insecurities and lack of self-worth by just burying it under another layer of success. You can't fill a lack of self-value with achievements. Every billionaire knows this, and yeah, while being a billionaire would be fun. Trust me, I want that 1969 Irish Green Porsche 911 more than any other man. The deep level of insecurity that's needed to get you there in the first place is incredibly dark, and you wouldn't be able to enjoy your achievements. The answer to your problems isn't being on top of the world. Listen to every actor, rapper, influencer, artist, even YouTuber, for God's sake. If you had $1 or pound for every time you heard a public figure talk about how they thought money and fame would change their life, you'd quickly realize stuff like that comes from the internal, and outside achievements don't help. When coming from a place of self-loathing and constant need for self-improvement, it's only when you're acting in love for the process of what you're doing that you can actually gain a level of satisfaction, like true satisfaction. The same insecurity that inspired you to do that thing and pushed you to your limits will also write it off the moment that you achieve it, in the same way that before you did the marathon you thought you weren't doing enough. Because after the moments of gratification have faded, the problem hasn't been solved. Self-punishment and self-loathing very well might make you successful. The idea of I'm a loser and if I do this I'll be worth something is scary enough that it will get you up to work, but you'll never be happy with what you achieve, because holes located in the personality cannot be filled up with achievements. This is a problem we're seeing now in social media. To finally bring it back to the original point, I don't mean social media itself, but the type of people that are becoming popular. I'm not going to name names, I'm sure some came to mind when I've said this, but the success of those is a reflection of the self-perception that are following them. Oftentimes when people follow them, it's because of what they see in them, what they relate to, or what they wish they had. If sacrificing happiness and fulfillment at the stake of success is what you want to do, then what success are you actually having? Okay, you can eat and support your family, but that cuts off being a worry at a certain point anyway. So why do you keep going? Why do you wake up in the morning? When you look back, will the sacrifice be worth it? If you can't feel the success, are you successful? Because the only thing you ever truly experience is your own experience. And look, I can't answer those questions for you, but I do hope you think about them the next time you find yourself suffering for a perceived benefit and you question maybe why you are doing things. Before I go, there's a lot of people struggling to survive, never mind succeed and deal with the trauma that fuels being that successful. God knows that Michael Jordan didn't become Michael Jordan because he had a happy childhood. But there are people that don't get water and stuff like that, and I don't want that to go unrecognized, because I feel like talking in this perspective is often very much ignoring that it could be way worse than this. But obviously as humans you sort of deal with what's in front of you and you don't really think about what's behind you, which is fair enough, it's nature, I guess. But the message is, I hope regardless of what position you're in, I hope you're happy, I hope you want to wake up tomorrow. I hope that when you do things out of a love for yourself and the thing that you're doing, not because it's quote unquote valuable. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you get home safe, pull over if you're tired, and I'll see you again soon.